This week, today's homeowner is on the road in Las Vegas at the National Hardware Show to explore cool new tools and gadgets. So the next half hour is full of great stuff you can use. So don't miss it. Joe, you know, it's kind of funny. We've been going to dozens of these shows over the years, but never have we gone to one together.
We've never gone to one together, and I've been going to the hardware show since about 1984.
84, let's see. I was in the 3rd grade.
You were, but you were 27 years old.
One of the great things about this show is that there's something for everyone. For example, the Panel Express from Salt Track is ideal for the contractor who has to move sheet goods like plywood and drywall, but doesn't want to do it by hand.
This tool allows you to do everything that's needed.
While this new tool from Apex Tools, called the Odd Job, is a great little all-in-one problem-solving addition to any kitchen drawer.
Lufkin has been making measuring tools for over 140 years, and during that time, they've learned a thing or two about how people use tools, even something as simple as a measuring tape. You wouldn't think there'd be a way to improve something as simple as a retractable tape, but they have. What they did is they made a very easy way to control the tape by simply cutting a little window on the bottom. And now the tape is exposed, you can easily grip it. I mean, how great is that, and how simple? So you put out the tape, there's a 25-foot tape, has 10-foot standout, and then when you want to retract it, it simply takes a little bit of finger pressure right on the bottom. That's all you need to do. Now there's another tool I thought was just as interesting, and it's right here next door. If you've ever used socket wrench, you might be familiar with this problem, bottoming out. It's when you can't reach the nut because the bolt is longer than the socket. Well, here's the solution. It's a pass-through socket wrench. It has a hole that goes through it, so the bolt can pass right through it. This could be a threaded rod a foot or two long, it wouldn't matter. You could still go right over it and tighten up the nut. And like any ratchet, you can take this out and exchange it for various sizes.
Over at the Tivoli booth, they're making some great accessories that solve everyday problems. Well, Graham, I was walking by here earlier and I saw this, and I have to ask you, what exactly is this thing?
Well, Danny, it's really cool. It's a specialized jig for helping you drill into ceramic tile.
Huh.
And, you know, you end up with drill bit walking.
Right.
We can hit you here, you get the perfect spot, you clip it down. We have water in here, and the water comes through to cool it down and provide a lubricant.
Wow.
So when you take it off, you got your hole, it's perfect place, and it's nice and neat.
Looks like a free sample here.
Well, for you, Danny, it is.
Awesome. Thanks, Graham.
Thanks a lot.
Appreciate it. Often it's the little improvements to tools we already use that make the most difference, like this new stud finder from Franklin that maps out both edges of the stud at once. There are also some completely different approaches to old chores, like this cordless drill-powered nail puller. We've even seen mass-produced versions of ideas that we've shared with you in our Simple Solutions segment, like the Bucket Buddy for holding tools and paint cans on steep slope roofs, or this jig for making rip cuts with a circular saw from the folks at Craig.
Well, Matt, I understand that Craig's got a new product called the Rip Cut Circular Saw Guide that provides a quick, easy way to cut up plywood.
Sure, we recognize that there were a lot of DIY individuals out there and woodworkers that were having trouble with large sheets, plywood, 4x8s. So we created the Craig Rip Cut to help cut those sheets down in an accurate way.
Okay.
Basically, it's a circular saw guide that once you zero it out to the blade and zero it to the top and lock it down.
Okay, yeah, so you can just adjust that indicator. And
Once it's to zero.
Okay.
And then once it's there, we'll make a nice cut.
All right.
All clear?
Well, that is pretty slick. That works really well. I'll tell you the thing I noticed I like a lot about this is that when you got to the end of your cut, the guide was still against the edge, so you weren't freehanding the last inch or so, which is often the case.
Yep, we made that guide rail a little bit longer, so it's going to hit the middle of the blade.
And what's this going to retail for?
$34.99.
It's available now?
Yes, it is.
Great. Hey, thanks a lot, Matt. Appreciate it. Have a great show.
Yep.
While we keep checking out the show, why don't you check out another one of Joe's Simple Solutions?
There are several home improvement products that come with twist-off lids.
Now, if you've had to use pliers to remove them, here's the reason why. Often, the product itself, in this case it's a wood finish, a teak oil, will spill out onto the threads. Then when you replace the lid, the material actually acts as an adhesive and seals it on there. It makes the lid almost impossible to remove. And that's not only true of teak oil and polyurethanes, but also several kinds of sealers as well that you might use around the house. So here's the trick. Get a piece of wax paper about 3 or 4 inches wide, and then cut off a little square of it. And next time you get ready to replace the lid, just put the wax paper over it. And that will protect the threads from that finish. And even if this sits on the shelf for a while, you'll be able to twist it right off without having to use pliers or anything else, which can actually damage the lid. Now, I've seen this works really well on all kinds of sealers, but also wood glue. Even though it has a dispenser cap, if you put wax paper underneath it, it'll seal out air and it'll last a lot longer on your shelf.
So Joe, I wanted to ask you, how many of these do you have in your yard?
You're supposed to put those outside?
Oh, you got
I got them inside. Oh.
This week, Joe Truini and I are checking out some great new products at the National Hardware Show in Las Vegas. Look at this, check this out. There are a few green ideas, like these long-lasting paper towels made from bamboo fibers.
Say no to paper towels.
And then there are some things that are just for fun, like this culturally influenced garden gnome called the Gnome Braid, or this NFL-themed duct tape from the folks at Duck Brand. But lots of these new tools are real problem solvers. Every year, our friends at Wagner show off some great tools to make painting chores just a little easier. Now they're doing the same for those deck refinishing projects you might be considering. It's called the Deck Jet. Basically, it uses the vacuum technology that you're probably familiar with that allows you to hook this fitting right over a paint can, or in this case a stain can, and pull that stain into this reservoir. In this case, it'll hold enough stain for 70 square foot of decking. Makes it a lot easier. Then you apply it with just a little handle here that forces the stain out of this pad, which is perfect to apply the stain to a deck. But here's where it's a little bit different. You see the two little brushes, just like it shows here? It allows you to stain in between the boards, which can be a real challenge when you're refinishing your deck. I think I'll take this one home. Over at Swanson, I found another tool I'd like to take home. It's a new straight edge with a non-slip surface and a thumb guard to keep you safe during cutting chores.
We created a new extrusion that has a thumb guard so that if you jump, you're protecting your hand from injury.
Speaking of safety, Joe's checking out the latest and greatest in flashlights.
The next flashlight you buy should have LED technology, and here's why. LEDs produce a bright white light. They're 10 times more energy efficient than an incandescent bulb. And in fact, they don't even have a bulb, so they're unbreakable. Here's my favorite LED flashlight by Coast. It's milled out of aluminum, takes only 4 AA batteries, and has a recessed water-resistant switch. There's that nice bright white light. But what I really like about it is this feature that allows you to adjust the beam. You can go from a 6-inch spot to a 6-foot wide flood by simply sliding it with one hand. How cool is that? Now, with all those features, this might be the last flashlight you ever need to buy.
This show is really more than a great collection of products. It also gives you some insight into the creativity and current health of business today. Well, Joe, we spent a little time out here on the floor. What do you think so far?
Well, I've only seen about half of the show, but I've been surprised by how many great new products I've seen. You'd think year after year they'd run out of ideas, but they don't seem to, and that's great. I love seeing these products.
Well, I think maybe over the last couple of years of the economy, they've kind of held off on a lot of that research development. Glad to see them back on it.
Yeah, maybe that's a sign that things are improving.
I hope so. In addition to some innovative tools for homeowners, we're also seeing some great new materials and surfaces like Encore. It's a system that allows you to transform laminate countertops, giving them a textured look much like stone or concrete. And speaking of stone, this stone called Air Stone isn't really stone at all. Hey Gareth, I gotta say, man, I love the synthetic stone work and everything. Tell me a little bit about it.
Basically, it's a PVC tin-based material, and we apply 100% natural stone coating on the product. It's applied with a double-sided adhesive tape, acrylic-based, so the same family of plastics form that chemical key bond, and it gives a great long-lasting feel and look, and it's exactly what the consumer's looking for. I can give you a quick demo if you'd like to see.
Yeah, great.
Here's my box.
Okay.
Inside it comes with different colors. You can see they've just been mixed and matched. Basically, this is your 100% coating. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. I mean, all you basically need is a level in the house, the basic tools. You peel it off, as easy as that. You apply your level, You get your level right, and basically it can go onto any wall.
Wow, and then you just continue going down. Do you offset it?
You get your first row level,
Oh, I got you.
and once it's level,
Oh man.
you can keep building. It's as easy as that.
Man, I tell you, I could see this being used for backsplash in the kitchen, accent wall here and there.
Accent walls are fantastic. You can even, once it's applied, change it. So if you buy your condo, 2 years, 3 years, or you're moving, you can take your product with you.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Absolutely. So it lends itself to that sort of flexibility.
Man.
There's no masonry, no mortar. It's a DIY, effortless application, and it's doing very, very well.
Oh man, I love it.
Yeah, thank you.
While we keep scouting here for great new products that are soon to be released, why don't you check in with Jody at the Home Center for some that are already on the shelves.
If you're in the market for a versatile tools system, look no further than the tool aisle here. Take a look at all of the options that you have. But let me show you one of these that has just hit the market. This is by Dremel, and this is called the Saw Max. Now, why do they call it the Saw Max? Because there's a maximum amount of things that you can do with this saw. The kit actually comes with different blades. I've got the multi-purpose blade on here. With that, I can cut wood, I can cut PVC, I can cut drywall, I can cut copper piping, I can cut metal. I pop on the tile blade and I can cut tile. I can also pop on the masonry blade and I can cut concrete, masonry block. Again, the uses are just endless. Another thing I like, it's got a trigger release. If I want to make a quick cut, if I've got to make a rip on plywood, all I got to do is lock that down, hold it in place, and I can make a long rip. This is a great tool to have on hand if you don't want to pull out the big old circular saw, or if you're just going to be making some really quick cuts. You know what? I have to say, SawMax, that's a pretty great name for this tool.
My buddy Joe Truini and I are exploring the National Hardware Show in Vegas, and there's definitely no shortage of cool tools in this place. Every year at this show, we see where manufacturers have taken a little time to make a traditional tool a little better. Here's a great example on a traditional bench vise. Now, what could you do to make this work any better than it does? Well, you know, usually you have to take this handle to open and close, but on this vise, push one button here and it opens right up. You put whatever you're working on in there, then with one hand, you can push it back together, then you can always tighten it up a little bit in order to really get it nice and snug. Great improvement on that traditional tool. Here's another one. Now, this is kind of a unique driver here. It's called a turbo driver, and what this actually does is, because of the jaws that it has here in the front, it will fit 6 different size bolts by just simply pushing this, putting it down. You can adjust this forward or backwards, and you're able to ratchet it right off of there. Just think how convenient this would be to have in your boat, your car, motorcycle, almost anywhere. Very, very good idea. Now, what could possibly improve on the traditional utility knife? Now, this particular one has a great grip, ergonomically feels really good, but what's really cool is how easy it is to change a blade. Now, this is a little small to show you, but maybe I can show you on the exact same type of knife, this one being the largest utility knife in the world as certified by Guinness Book of World Records. So we make it a little easier to show you how you can push the blade right out like that. Then when you're ready to change it, simply pulling this back, this pulls right out. Then you return this back here, reloads, and there's a nice sharp blade. Think how easy that would make it if you're doing a project like maybe drywall or any type of flooring that would require a lot of changes of blades. I hate having to break out that Phillips head screwdriver to change the blades in my utility knife. Another thing I hate is cleaning gutters, and this system from Gutter Stuff looks like a surefire way to eliminate that problem by allowing water to drain through but nothing else. This rolling support for string trimmers is also a great way to make a common outdoor chore a little easier. And apparently Joe has taken it easy to heart.
Hey, Danny,
Wait a minute, what are you doing?
we're trying out the equipment.
Come on now, we got a lot to do around here. What do you think about all of this? This hall's awesome.
Yeah, this lawn and garden. This is a sectional outdoor furniture. I have lots of furniture and gas grills. This
Well,
is terrific.
it's obvious the trend to develop that outdoor living space at a
Yeah.
home is alive and well.
Absolutely, and it's nice to come to a hardware show. We have the real hardware, the
Yeah.
tools and the nuts and bolts on one side, and all this outdoor living equipment on this side.
And I'm seeing all kind of landscape lighting, all
Yeah.
kinds of lawnmowers, a little bit of everything. Let's get back to work.
I'll be right with you.
There's a lot to see here in the way of lawn and garden solutions, like the leaf reaper, which is an incredibly simple idea that's been well executed and put into production to simplify bagging leaves. Some of the problems I hear all the time from homeowners are wet basements, drainage problems around their yard that's causing erosion, or water settling next to their foundation that's creating some foundation problems. All of those could be solved with proper drainage around your home. Now, if you have gutters, that's a good thing. You want to make sure they're in really good shape and they don't leak and they're moving the water where it's supposed to go. It should come down the downspout and have something that moves that water away from the house. Here's a very simple way from this company Flex Drain that you have this little fitting. Then you can stretch this out, bend it in any direction you want, and wouldn't that be perfect to have that buried right under your flower bed? Then you can have another attachment onto that like this that will allow you to move that water to a place that won't damage your house. Now, if you have a prize tree or any prize shrubs, you can bend this any way you want so that you can minimize the amount of digging that you have to do. Plus, Flex Drain has all of the different fittings that you might find that you can tie several different downspout drains into one. Now, this isn't the most glamorous home improvement project that you might do, but it's one that'll save you a lot of money. Apparently, Joe is back on the job and he's found some pretty cool additions for the garage over at the Raycor booth.
All right, Craig, I've seen a lot of really cool home storage products here, but I understand you have something new for keeping ladders out of the way.
We do. Ladders are the #1 problems of consumers.
I'm not a bit surprised.
They're large, they're bulky, really tough to store them. What we've got here today is the Raycor ladder lift.
The ladder lift?
Yes.
Well, my ladder's outside right now, so I think I might be interested in this product.
Well, let's see if we can get your ladder inside.
All right.
We got a rope and pulley on one side,
Right.
and a fixed hook on the other side. And we just pulled this rope to the side here, and we're able to lower the ladder here. And if you accidentally let go of the rope, it automatically catches.
Very nice. Now, this is similar to the bike rack you have with a pulley system, only you have all the pulleys in one location.
That's right.
But it's the same basic system where
It
the
is.
pulley, you do a lot of pulleys do much of the work.
Right. So in this particular case, there's an 8-to-1 mechanical advantage. So an 80-pound ladder would only feel like 10 pounds.
Wow, that's great.
It's tremendous.
And what's the capacity of the ladder lift?
So you can put up to 150 pounds on this. So any ladders aren't going to be a challenge.
Can I try cranking it up?
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, that's like a breeze.
Yeah.
And again, because you're only lifting half the ladder.
Yep.
And now, when is this going to be available? How much does it cost?
Sure. So June 2012, just this year, and it'll be about $50.
Hey, great. Thanks a lot, Greg. Appreciate the information.
Althea asks, should I use faced or unfaced insulation in my attic?
I've always said adding insulation to your attic is some of the best money you can spend to make your house more energy efficient. But whether to use faced or unfaced insulation is a great question. Now, here's a situation where a homeowner, looks like many years ago, added insulation. They added a 3-inch layer, but it has facing on it, and that could create a moisture trap between the living area and the underside of the insulation. So when you're adding insulation to an existing attic that has insulation, you'll want to use an unfaced type of material, and that way you won't have to worry about that moisture trap. And all you have to do, get a few rolls of this, roll it out perpendicular over the ceiling joist that you have in your attic, and then you've created that insulation barrier that's going to save you money summer or winter. Well, Joe, I'll have to say it was maybe not as busy as it was 10 years ago, but absolutely a lot busier than a couple years ago.
And we still found tons of great products.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Lots of innovation.
Absolutely. And we hope you enjoyed this week's show here at the National Hardware Show in Vegas. Joe Truini, Danny Lipford, we'll see you next week here on Today's Homeowner.